was like, yo, I'm supposed to do this. Where's the feast? Oh, yeah, right. That's what it should be.
Bismillah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. As-salatu was-salamu ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in, amma ba'd. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Tonight's class on Uloomul Marjan fima ittafaqa alayhi shaykhan. We're still speaking on transactions, buying and selling, al-Musaqat. And we explained how many chapters in Kitab with Musaqat, water, giving, sharecropping, deal with buying and selling as well. Chapter number 21, the author, Sheikh Muhammad Fawad Abdul Baqi, rahimahullah ta'ala, says, Babu bay'il ba'iri wa istithna'i rukubihi. He says, the chapter of buying and selling a camel and placing a stipulation that you have the ability to ride it, meaning for the seller. The seller has an animal, the seller has a camel, he's going to sell it to a buyer, but with the stipulation, for this period of time or distance, I'm allowed to ride it, even though you've purchased it and it's mine. All right, so we'll deal with that, we'll explain that, and it's very important and symbolic for 2024. With regards to what extent can the Muslim, A, make conditions and prerequisites on a sale or a contract? B, to what extent are you allowed to sign and agree to conditions and prerequisites? C, to what extent is there room for mutual conditions and prerequisites? We negotiate. I want this, I give you this, I have this, I'll pay like this in these installments, but if something goes wrong, this comes, etc., etc., etc. To what extent is it legitimate for there to be conditions and prerequisites on something that you buy or sell? And that's very important. It's extremely practical. We've spoken on this many times before concerning a receipt, okay, concerning a return, concerning 14 days, open package, store credit, all right? To what extent are these things legal in Islam? And does it mean, as we've explained as well, that everything that the kuffar do is illegitimate and haram and against the Sharia? As some Muslims or many Muslims may think and feel, that every single thing in America is wrong, is haram, and it's riba, right? Just like everything about the legal system is haram, because it's based off of a man-made constitution, it doesn't necessitate that everything is what? Wrong. Of that man-made system, of that godless constitution as a system, but it doesn't require that everything in America is wrong and incorrect. Everybody understand this is crucially important to what? I understand that. Everybody clear? And I think this has a, excuse me. Moving forward, concerning the Aqidah, and a person thinks and feels that every single thing about this Aqidah is wrong, or it's just an issue of tomato. We look at things differently, but we all, fight for the same cause, versus the system as a whole is different, and it's wrong for it to be taken as a what? As a system. Not meaning that every single conclusion is wrong and incorrect and against that of Ahlul Hadith and the Salaf al-Salih. And that is a very sticky glue trap that many people get stuck on. All right? Those in defense of this madhab of Aqidah, but look what we say, we really believe the same thing, blah, blah, blah. We just don't believe that law can be like this, etc., etc. That doesn't mean that it's lawful for this foreign system to be what? Adopted. And then the brothers who are attacking and criticizing that method of Aqidah, ignoring things which are correct and conclusions are correct, and not striking and stabbing at the what? At the heart. The flaw with this group, Fulan al Fulaniya, is its what? System. It is unlawful for this Aqidah system to be adopted. And it doesn't mean everything they do and everything they say, every proof is going to be wrong and against that of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. Understand the difference. System versus conclusion. It's very important. I can't stress this enough for a talib al-ilm and for a 9-to-5 Muslim, a layman Muslim. All right. Hadith number 1029. The author, rahimahullah ta'ala, he says, Hadith Jabir radiyallahu anhu, أنه كان يسير على جمل له قد أعيا فمر النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم فضربه فدعا له فسار بسير ليس يسير مثله ثم قال بعنيه بوقية كذا بالفتح قلت لا ثم قال بعنيه بوقية فبعته فاستثنيت حملانه إلى أهلي فلما قدمنا أتيته بالجمل ونقدني ثمنه ثم انصرفت فأرسل على إثري قال ما كنت لآخذ جملك فخذ جملك ذلك فهو مالك. حديث جابر بن عبد الله رضي الله عنهما قال غزوت مع رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال فتلاحق بالنبي صلى الله عليه وسلم ولعنا ناضح لنا قد أعيا فلا يكاد يسير فقال لي ما لبعيرك قال قلت أعيا قال فتخلف رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم فزجره ودعا له فما زال بين يدي الإبل قدامها يسير فقال لي كيف ترى بعيرك قال قلت بخير قد أصابته بركتك قال أفتبيعيني قال فاستحييت ولم يكن لنا ناضح غيره قال فقلت نعم قال فبيعنيه فبعته إياه على أن لي فقار ظهري حتى أبلغ المدينة قال فقلت يا رسول الله إني عروس فاستأذنته فأذن لي فتقدمت الناس إلى المدينة حتى أتيت المدينة فلقيني خالي فسألني عن البعير فأخبرته بما صنعت فيه فلامني قال وقد كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال لي حين استأذنته هل تزوجت بكرا أم ثيبا فقلت تزوجت ثيبا فقال هل لا تزوجت بكرا تلاعبها وتلاعبك قلت يا رسول الله توفي والدي أو استشهد ولي أخوات صغار أو استشهد ولي أخوات صغار فكرهت أن أتزوج مثلهن فلا تؤدبهن ولا تقوم عليهن فتزوجت ثيبا لتقوم عليهن وتؤدبهن قال فلما قدم رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم المدينة غدوت عليه ببعيري فأعطاني ثمنه ورده عليه. Okay, the translation states 1029, right? Naam. So, chapter 21 says, selling the camel and stipulation of riding it. Hadith number 1029, narrated Jabir radiyallahu anhu. While I was riding, it says in parentheses, a slow and tired camel, the Prophet ﷺ passed by and beat it and prayed for Allah's blessings for it. The camel became so fast as it had never been before. The Prophet ﷺ then said, sell it to me for 1 uqiyah of gold. I said, no. He said again, sell it to me for 1 uqiyah. So I sold it and stipulated that I should ride it to my house. When we reached Medina, I took that camel to the Prophet ﷺ and he gave me its price. I returned home, but he sent for me. And when I went to him, he said, I was not going to take your camel. So take your camel as a gift for you. Hadith 1030 is narrated Jabir ibn Abdullah radiyallahu anhuma. I participated in a ghazwa along with Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam met me on the way while I was riding the camel of ours used for irrigation and had got so tired it could hardly walk. The Prophet ﷺ asked me, what is wrong with the camel? What is wrong with your camel? I replied, it has got tired. So Allah's Messenger ﷺ came from behind it and rebuked it and prayed for it. So it started surpassing the other camels and going ahead of them. Then he asked me, how do you find your camel now? I replied, I find it quite well, as it has received your blessings. He said, will you sell it to me? I felt shy to refuse his offer, though it was the only camel for irrigation we had. So I said yes. He said, sell it to me then. I sold it to him on the condition that I should keep on riding it till I reached Medina. Then I said, oh Allah's Messenger, I am a bridegroom, and requested him to allow me to go home. He allowed me, and I set out for Medina before the people till I reached Medina, where I met my uncle, who asked me about the camel, and I informed him about it, and he blamed me for it. When I took the permission of Allah's Messenger, he asked me whether I had married a virgin or a matron, and I replied that I had married a matron. He said, why haven't you married a virgin? Would have played with you, and you would have played with her. I replied, O Allah's Messenger, my father died or was martyred, and I have some young sisters. So I felt it not proper that I should marry a young girl like them, who would neither teach them manners nor serve them. So I have married a matron so that she may serve them and teach them manners. When Allah's Messenger ﷺ arrived in Al-Medina, I took the camel to him the next morning, and he gave me its price and gave me the camel as well. Next hadith, hadith Jabir ibn Abdullah قال اشترى مني النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم بعيرا بوقيتين درهم ودرهم أو درهمين فلما قدم صرارا أمر ببقرة فذبحت فأكلوا منها فلما قدم المدينة أمرني أن آتي المسجد فأصلي ركعتين ووزن لي ثمن البعير. Hadith 1031 is narrated Jabir bin Abdullah. The Prophet ﷺ brought a camel for me for 2 uqiyah and 1 or 2 dirham, gold or silver. When he reached Sirar, he ordered that a cow be slaughtered, and they ate its meat. They ate the meat of the camel. They ate the beef. When he arrived at Medina, he ordered me to go to the mosque and offer 2 rak'ah, and he weighed me the price of the camel. He gave me what was even more. All right? So these 3 authentic hadiths, all in Bukhari and Muslim, show that there was a transaction between Jabir and the Prophet ﷺ. There was gold and or silver, money, monetary assets, cream, cash, and there was the beast, the camel. Everyone understand this? The cash, quote unquote, from the Prophet ﷺ, and the camel from Jabir. Jabir agreed to sell the Prophet with the shart ish, أنه يركب البعير إلى المدينة. هذا محل الشاهد. I will give you the camel, but I need to get home. فهمنا? So that these 3 hadiths, different versions of the same story, show that just off organically, it will be lawful to make that what? Condition. Stipulation. We're out, we're traveling, I'll sell you my watch, but I need to wear it until we get home. Fair enough? I'll sell you these shoes, but I need to what? I need to rock them right now. Or anything else. This coat, this jacket, whatever, this ink pen, I'll sell it to you, but right now I need to what? This car? I'm writing. Hopefully electric or he said only premium. He said I never did unleaded. My cars never took unleaded. Everybody clear on this? The highlighting point from the what? From the hadith is that Jabir is stipulated upon the Prophet to do what? To ride the camel back to Medina. For him to have that. So that is the highlighting point from the hadith. Regardless of the madhabs, what the scholars say, Malik, Shafi, Abu Hanifa, if that's the only thing that you knew and read about, that would be what? Sufficient. That it is yajuz. That it's lawful. And the same would apply to buying and selling and making any other type of stipulation, as long as it does not what? Clash with something from Quran and Sunnah. That's what we understand in the modern times. You're allowed to buy it. If you open up the package, you cannot get cash back, just store credit. If you don't have a receipt, you cannot get your money back, but what? Store credit. If it's an electronic, you can return it with or without the receipt, electronic, open, but only within
7 days.
whack at that. No one can come along and say it's haram, this is riba. Oh, you took my money, Best Buy, blah, 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 blah. All that. All right, so that's very important, as we've said over the years, to understand the traditional fiqh, the classic, ancient, and to translate it into the modern. East meets what?
West.
East meets West. Is the East superior? Is the West? East meets what? Old school meets new school. The values of the old school with as the Japanese say, right? Western technology with the Japanese spirit. From the rice paddy to the microchip. I mean, understand this. This philosophy of Bushido, Shinto, whatever, but with the what? The howitzers. Allahumma musta'an. Allahumma musta'an. Wala hawla wala quwwata illa billah. Beware of emperor worship. Indeed. Right. Khairan inshallah. All right, so let's move forward to Nawawi and the sharh before. And there are many, many benefits that we can take and dissect from this hadith as well, which we want to get into. All right. Nawawi, rahimahullah ta'ala, he says regarding this chapter and regarding these hadiths, فيه حديث جابر وحديث مشهور احتج به أحمد ومن وافقه في جواز بيع الدابة ويشترط البائع لنفسه إيش؟ ركوبها. وقال مالك يجوز ذلك إذا كانت مسافة الركوب قريبة وحمل هذا الحديث على هذا. وقال الشافعي وأبو حنيفة وآخرون لا يجوز ذلك سواء قلت المسافة أو كثرت ولا ينعقد البيع. All right, so he says there are three madhabs here regarding this chapter, regarding this issue, and regarding that which is taken from these hadiths. Madhab A is the madhab of Imam Ahmed and others who say it's lawful to sell an animal with the stipulation that you will continue to ride it. And the same would apply to a car. No different today, huh? That's Imam Ahmed's madhab and other scholars. Madhab 2, the madhab of Imam Malik. It's lawful as long as the distance is close. Too far, la. Like renting a car.
Yeah, the mileage.
No different. No different. The mileage is good. Anything that goes past this amount, then you have to, so on and so forth. All right? Tayyib. Madhab number 3 is the madhab of Imam Abu Hanifa and the madhab of Imam Shafi'i. It's unlawful. Short distance, long distance, close distance, la yajuz. If you sell the animal, then you have to what?
Give it up.
Relinquish the animal. You cannot make that condition that you're going to keep riding it, so on and so forth. It's now mine. What did he say? He said, this is my neighborhood. I can run it, what? Who are you to tell me what I can and cannot do in my neighborhood? It's deep. I own it. My territory or not? And it shows you the hypocrisy and the moral high ground that he had over him. How can you tell me what I can do with my territory? If you disapprove of my dealings, take the territory back. If I've purchased it, I've earned it, then it's what?
Mine.
The commission gave it to me, and that's food for thought, huh? With regards to the danger of media and movies and of the myth of the hero and the good guy, and how the bad guy's a bad guy because people say so, and the concept of self-righteousness that many of us suffer from. And of course, in the news and the media today, one of the worst or ugliest blemishes of the fraudulent state of Israel is ultimate self-righteousness. Ultimate self-righteousness. We are the victims. We are defending ourselves. We have the right to defend ourselves. We have the moral obligation to defend ourselves. We're surrounded by all of these angry Arab countries that want to destroy us. There's Hezbollah, there's Hamas, there's Iran, there's ISIS, there's Fatah, there's Hamas. All of these angry, hostile Arabs want to destroy us and obliterate the lands of Jews. We have no choice but to use maximum force. We have no choice but to bomb apartment buildings at 2 a.m. We have no choice. But to use dumb bombs and highly concentrated, we have no choice but to strap what? Half naked men on the front of the the truck. We have no choice, especially if he volunteered to do that. He said, "Hey guys, I'm wounded. Put me on the front of the Jeep and drive me around as a human shield." We have no choice but to kill people because they're using them for human shields. And everybody owes us because of the Holocaust. And because of King Harold and this one and that one, this anti-Semite and this one and that one, because they did this and we were kicked out, the whole world has to accept our plight and pay us and turn a blind eye. And of course, we are God's chosen people. This is God's chosen land. Just think about how self-righteous they are. Worse than America. And that says a lot. Operation Iraqi Freedom or Liberation, Liberate Kuwait, total batil kadhib. They don't care anything about those people in that small, tiny country, Vietnam. And if it wasn't for the political interests, money, energy, they wouldn't have any idea or clue or concern about these savages thousands away from the United States. But the self-righteousness of politics is we're there to protect them, to liberate them, to keep them from harm's way. Okay? That which proves that that's a great big lie is that when you lost the war and when you left or were removed, what happened to that fear and those interests? What happened to that necessity? Did that just go away magically? Why didn't you fight again? Why didn't you go back to Vietnam? If it was so detrimental, the collapse of these Southeastern Asian countries and the spread of communism, why didn't you go back then once you lost? Proving that was never a necessity from what? From the beginning. So politics, of course a politician has to be self-righteous, but they're what? They're levels. And if you study the conflict, you'll see no matter what Israel does, no matter what, they're always going to be practicing ultimate self-righteousness. All right? So that's food for what? Food for thought. With regards to this is my possession, I can do with it as I please. For him now? Everybody got this or not? Tayyip. So those are three views of the ulama of Islam with regards to can you make that stipulation or not. All right. Imam Malik's stipulation that it's a short distance of time is clear. He's between two principles. Principle A, it's now your animal. How are you going to stipulate something when I paid for it? And the second principle is the text of these hadiths. And if it's a little bit of distance and it's what? Labas. There's nothing wrong with it. I'll give it to you. I'll take it off in a second. Just give me a second. Labas. Right? Ahmed's view is clear based off of the text. Clear. Now, what is Imam Abu Hanifa and Imam Shafi'i's rationale? And what is their justification for going against that which is clearly proven by these authentic texts? Nawawi rahimahullah ta'ala, he says, وَاحْتَجُّوا بِالْحَدِيثِ السَّابِقِ فِي النَّهِي عَنْ بَيْعِ الثَّنَايَا وبالحديث الآخر في النهي عن بيع وشرط وأجابوا عن حديث جابر بأنها قضية عين تتطرق إليه احتمالات قالوا ولأن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أراد أن يعطيه الثمن ولم يرد حقيقة البيع قالوا ويحتمل أن الشرط لم يكن في نفس العقد وإنما يضر الشرط إذا كان في نفس العقد ولعل الشرط كان سابقا فلم يؤثر ثم تبرأ صلى الله عليه وسلم بإركابه. No, we give several answers. There are other hadiths that they use, other prohibitions, which the Messenger of Allah forbade this type of thing, or the Prophet forbade a contract and a stipulation. Is forbidding two things being in one place. All right? And perhaps they say that this was qadiyat ayn. This was only one specific incident. It wasn't the rule. It wasn't the normal. Obviously, that's because if you say that, how many hadiths it can be said it was only what?
One instance.
One time. Tayyip. And also they say that the Prophet really didn't want to buy the camel. He didn't, and obviously he gave him back the money because he didn't really what?
He didn't take it.
As if he didn't really want to buy the camel. And perhaps that the condition of the stipulation is outside of the contract. This is, we're going to buy it, and the stipulation added later on. Allahu Ta'ala a'lam. What's important is that it's lawful to make certain stipulations, as long as they don't go against the letter or the law or the spirit of the law. The letter is the specific text, and the spirit is the mindset that this leads to. This is so on and so forth. All right, tayyib, inshallah. All right, let's go to some of the fawaid of some of those hadiths. The first fa'idah from these 3 hadiths will be what? Abdul? Read them again. Alameen, what will be the first fa'idah? Whatever it is. Just get on base.
Yeah, that those stipulations
Come back, H.
It could be made. Prerequisites.
Ahmed. استمت فوائد من الحديث أي فائدة ليس يعني النقاش العلمي الفقهي. The virtue of marrying a virgin. Clear. The virtue, the superiority of marrying a virgin over a matron. طيب هذه فائدة. That's an organic what? Organic فائدة taken right from the text. طيب anything else؟ قال يعني استحباب أو أفضلية البكر وتزوج بها عن الثيب. تفضل. Anything.
في تفاصيل.
في ايش؟
في تفصيل مثلا اذا كان انسان لديه بنات زي ما كان يدعي.
الا في تفصيل بس هو الان دور استنباط.
So it's better to marry like 2 virgin married.
طيب. Come back.
shows the generosity of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
فيه كرم النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم وسخاؤه. The Prophet was very generous. And he didn't want to just take it here, man. Take your camel and also take the money. Right? And there's the principle of somebody say, go to the store, get this, blah, 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 bring back my change. And then he said, what?
Keep it.
Keep the change and you keep the snacks. Everyone understand this? The generosity of the Prophet, alayhi salam. And it should teach us that a leader, an imam, a husband, whoever, you know, the big shot, HNIC, whatever you are, you should always be more giving than receiving. And that generosity has to be known and seen by your followers. And that's going to be one of the reasons why your followers are going to be loyal and loving to you. Is that they get more from you than what they, huh? Everyone understand this? Right? All right. So the first hadith. First of all, this fi ithbat barakah. The process in barakah. By Allah's permission. Touch the camel, hit the camel, made dua for the camel, and they said what? The camel what?
Regenerated.
It didn't travel like it never traveled before. It was beating the other camels. And obviously, our عقيدتنا نحن نؤمن ونعتقد بأن النبي عليه الصلاة والسلام مبارك جسمه وشعره ووضوءه يعني everything that came from the Prophet is blessed. No doubt about that.
Spiritual.
But the problem is فرق بيننا وبين بعض المذاهب الآثار أو الأماكن فضلا عن التبرك بالصالحين من دون النبي. That's the difference. The Prophet was in Medina, no doubt. But there's asphalt on the streets. Concrete. There's paint, wood, and all different things that didn't exist. The Prophet ﷺ did not directly what? Touch this, that you're walking on marble.
That's right.
There was no marble in the time of the Prophet ﷺ. All right? Also, is that even from the Sunnah to go to the places and seek barakah from those locations? For argument's sake, seeking barakah from someone outside of or less than the Prophet. My sheikh, my teacher, I want to rub his hand, smell him, grab him, drink from him, take his wudu water, his bath water. Did the Sahaba do that with the other Sahaba? Did the Tabi'een do that with the Sahaba? That's the problem. And once again, you may say, oh, that's permissible, it's okay, it can be done, no problem. But don't say someone who disagrees, don't call them a Wahhabi. Because you'll find the argument and the proof against that, what? All right, before Ibn Abdul Wahhab. Even if you disagree. But the problem comes in if someone is staunch and fanatical, it's total bit, and then he may find Imam Ahmed, whoa, wait a second now. And you may believe it's wrong, but you also have to what? Say that about the so that's the moral choice to do what? Pump the brakes. Unless it's something which is clear, indisputable, irrefutable, then that's a different story. All right, so seeking barakah from another man, seeking barakah from a location that the Prophet walked in or place, that's versus something that actually is proven to be from the Prophet. a piece of clothing, a piece of hair, which is authenticated. Authenticated, what? Everyone understand this? Authenticated. This is authentically proven. It touched the Prophet's blessed body. And of course, there's a very long argument and discussion with regards to relics and Christians and Catholics and how they worship relics. This twig or a splinter from the cross, the true cross, this fragment of this saint's skull, this bone, this, and what those relics mean. Huh? What did he say to Richard? He said, "You want the true cross? What? Take it. I don't care about this piece of wood. You pay me this, you give me this, you leave here and you can what? You can take it." But he knew the value of that true cross to those Catholics, to those Hospitallars or Templars or whatever the case may be. He was wise. And subhanAllah, they never got the true cross, what? After that. They never got it again. So, to what extent do Muslims cherish relics? To what extent are we allowed to cherish a relic? Everyone understand this? All right, tayyib. But this hadith clearly shows the barakah of the what? Physically and of his dua. All right. Moving forward. This hadith shows the permissibility of traveling. And this hadith also shows the permissibility of talking and speaking when you travel to your friends and your companions and your teachers. And this hadith also shows the permissibility of suggesting a sale and demanding a sale. Bi'ni, sell it to me. Come on, man, give it to me. What you holding on? Come on, man. Get rid of it, man. No, come on, man. Stop playing games. Bro, you don't even use it. When last time you wore it? When last time you drove the car? Man, sell me the car. That's what? That's permissible. Inshallah ta'ala. This hadith also goes to show the beautiful character. فيه جميل خلق النبي عليه الصلاة والسلام. ما كنت لآخذ مالك ما كنت لآخذ جملك. You think I'm trying to take your money? You think I'm going to take... Come on, Jab. Beautiful character. Along with the generosity. Inshallah ta'ala. This hadith also goes to show the permissibility of asking certain questions, even if the answer seems to be apparent. He asked him, "What's wrong with your camel?" Clearly, the camel was out of gas, out of steam. Naam. Khairan inshallah ta'ala. Moving forward. The camel began to walk, shows the barakah once again. Tayyib. This hadith also goes to show the permissibility of making excuses if it's valid. I'm about to get married. I'm a bridegroom. I need to get to Medina, so on and so forth. Nah. And it shows how the leader should take into consideration the needs of his followers. You're a bridegroom. You just got married. Tafaddal. Go ahead. You can leave the caravan. You can speed up. You have more important things to take care of. Right? Go ahead. You just got married. Bismillah. Go home. Tayyib. Khair inshallah. This hadith also shows that a leader, scholar, can ask certain questions which could be relatively invasive. Did you marry a virgin or a matron? Little personal. However, certain people can ask what? Certain questions if there is a benefit. All right. He then says, فَقُلْتُ تَزَوَّجْتُ ثَيِّبًا. I married a matron, a woman that was already married. She was with a man before. Hella. Why didn't you? You should have married a virgin. Showing you that it's permissible to make certain statements as long as you don't have the belief of regret and wishing that you could go back and it wasn't qadr. If you would have only, it's not absolutely what? Prohibited. Saying certain what? Certain things. You should have what? You should have called me. You should have done this. It's done now, but I'm just saying you should have what? All right. Moving forward. This hadith also goes to show how the leader, the scholar, should explain some of his statements. The reason why you should have married a virgin is for her to, and such and such. And this goes to show us the importance of youth and the importance of youthfulness. And how, no matter how old you are and mature you are, you need a little bit of immaturity. You need a little bit of, childish behavior. And a little bit of it is healthy. And if you're too square or stuck or, too proper and too, I'm old, I'm mature, life is serious, it's going to be a little off. So every now and then you need a little what? A little foolishness, quote unquote. A little fun, a little playing around. And that's why I said that's why you should marry a woman that's a virgin. Now, you may ask the question, what is the connection between a virgin and young playing around? Can an older woman be a virgin? ليس هناك تلازم صح? There's no requirement virgin and young. But he clearly mentioned tula'ib, playing around. And as you understand from that, what? Young. So what's the answer?
Inexperienced?
That you shouldn't be that old and being a virgin. That's first and foremost. If you're that old, you shouldn't be a virgin. And in that society, it was known and understood that no one gets that old without being married. So i.e., if we say virgin, then it automatically means young girl. Everybody clear on this? All right, and that's a long discussion with regards to women not getting married, high dowries or prices, racism, prejudice. Yani Allahul Musta'an. Yani that's a long discussion we're not going to talk about right now. And this hadith goes on to show making an explanation for your actions to your teacher. Yeah, Sheikh, the only reason why I didn't follow the teachings which were already known to me is because A, B, C, D, E. And it shows us tafsil, detail. And everything isn't زي ما يعني قلتم في تفصيل. ليس كل المسائل فيها جواب صريح نعم ولا. كثير من المسائل لابد ايش؟ تفاصيل يعني you have to be detailed. The reason why I didn't marry a virgin is because such, 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 such. So sometimes marrying a virgin, for sure that's the default. Other times it may be best to take into consideration your situation and who you are. Many sisters say, I want to marry a student of knowledge. I want to marry a knowledgeable brother. But are you knowledgeable? Are you studious? And that's we can go on a long rant about that. All right, the fad of marrying a student of knowledge, you don't even read. You don't even pick up a book. You have no interest in any type of class. Why would you even want to marry someone who's studying that up? It's incompatible, right? And in most cases, it doesn't what? Doesn't work. Allahu musta'an. Moving forward. Jabir took into consideration that he had he had young sisters, and that he wanted a woman that they would respect and fear, and she would look after them and straighten them out. And I have a wife that's too young, I wish they would, wouldn't give full and total respect to her because of the similarity in the age. Wallahu ta'ala alam. All right. Last but not least, hadith number 1031. This goes to show that it is recommended فيه استحباب صلاة ركعتين عند القدوم. عند الرجوع إلى البلد, that when a person returns to his country, it's recommended for him to make 2 rak'ah. Aywa. He said, go to the masjid and pray those 2 rak'ah. So this will be an exception to the rule of the best place for voluntary prayers to be made in the house. All right, and that's a hidden sunnah. Not too many people know about that. Also, this hadith goes to show the permissibility فيه جواز القضاء والأداء في المسجد. وهذا لا يدخل في النهي عن البيع والشراء في المسجد. The permissibility of paying off a debt in the masjid, and that is not prohibited. It's not the same as buying and selling in the masjid. It's lawful to pay back a debt, what? In the masjid. And this also goes to show sometimes you command people to do things which aren't obligatory. And it shows us from the etiquette of buying and selling, always give more than what's necessary. And this, one could possibly take from this the permissibility of giving a tip and the recommendation of giving a tip. Now you may say, well, that's not the actual price. That's that waiter or that server or that worker's personal gain. But it still is supported by the concept of giving what? More. And not just sticking to the decimals, the dollars and the cents. Nah? Wallahu ta'ala alam. Another major faida from this hadith. أمر ببقرة فذبحت فيه جواز أكل إيش لحم البقر وفيه تنبيه لطيف على رد ما ورد من أن ألبانها شفاء ولحمها إيش داء وأنه لا يثبت عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم وهو منكر. Sanadan wa matnan. The hadith that states cow's milk is a cure, but its flesh is a disease is inauthentic. Inauthentic. Hadith clearly states they commanded what? For a heifer to be slaughtered in what? Roast beef, bro. Charged flesh on the spit.
Brisket.
That's right, the brisket. Let me know when it's what? When it's what?
It was ready.
When it's on the spit. When it's cooking and sizzling and turning and twisting, rotating, come to my tent. All right, so obviously it's a very long story concerning vegetarianism, herbalism, veganism, and we've explained this many times before. Though all of those madhabs are going to clash with Islam severely, especially veganism, let alone neo-veganism. And when you just don't eat red meat, like some brothers, maybe from among us, you invite them to lamb, they say, well, you know, Sheikh, I really don't eat red meat like that. Sheikh, you know, it's really not good. Dr. Fulan in his book, he said, you know, but we're not here to point out people, and you know, Allah is the most forgiving. What's important is, Allah Azza wa Jal told us that red meat is a blessing, whether you like it or not. The red meat doesn't agree with your system, no problem. You have a health condition, no problem. Eating too much red meat, no problem. When you eat that red meat, no problem. I eat red meat for lunch, not for dinner. It's too late in the evening for that heavy, you know, food to be in my system. That's fine. But to believe, directly or indirectly, covertly or overtly, that red meat is a disease and it's evil and that's a'udhu billah min dhalik. And I've heard different Islamic personalities and speakers talk about red meat and cow's meat specifically based off of that hadith. And I'm sure, Allah alam, I can't say sure, but probably unaware and ignorant of what? Of this hadith. The Prophet commanded for the cow to be slaughtered, and then it's what? What does it say? فَذُبِحَتْ فَأَكَلُوا مِنْهَا. They ate from it. Some people saying lamb is good, that's a good red meat. But the Prophet never ate cow. He never told the people to eat the meat of the cow. It's not to be eaten. Okay, this hadith is in Bukhari. In Muslim, yeah. Enter, whatever your title is. So reading the Sunnah extensively prevents you from ignorance. And prevents you from speaking about Allah without the proper knowledge. Alright? And the scholars of hadith would criticize many hadiths based off of their text clashing with sounder and more authentic texts. We mentioned about a woman praying in her home, hadiths about the woman being in the masjid, countless hadiths, Bukhari Muslim, Bukhari Muslim, Bukhari Muslim, Bukhari Muslim. The women were in the masjid all of the time. And then we have one hadith in this source, its chain of narration has its problems. Sheikh Fulan said it's Hassan, blah, blah, blah. You get the point I'm trying to make? Metin criticism. Nah. Alright, so veganism and vegetarianism, that's a long discussion, and that's a big problem. Alright? Woe to the people out there from the Muslims or those who say that they're Muslims who have been affected by that stuff. And you just don't stop eating the meat because it's bad for you or you're trying to lose weight or whatever. But you get the aqidah in your heart that it's bad. Alright? And may Allah help us all. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. Khair inshallah. I think we've run out of time.
مثلا
We'll stop here. Fadl. We can stop the stream. Stop the stream. Start another one. Fadl.
من خلال التجربة تبين أن في أكل اللحم البقر في بعض الأمراض